What's going on, folks? Welcome in another episode of Bleav in Commanders, and I got an enemy territory, but a fellow league brother, right? I done went to the Lions cave, and I done got one to come out. He's friendly though. He's Glover Quin, Mr. Glover Quin, former NFL safety corner, do it all guy, man. Welcome in, man. Appreciate you joining me over here on Bleav in Commanders.
Man, appreciate you for having me, man.
Man, we were just chopping it up ahead of coming up here on the air, and I was like, "Yeah, what team were you on in 2010?" You know, I knew we played Houston, so he was in Houston in 2010. So if y'all remember the game where Andre Johnson caught that last second touchdown over my man Reed Dowdy, what were you thinking on the sideline when you saw either the matchup or the catch?
Well, what's crazy is I was young, right? So that was my second year, and man, it was so crazy. Like, cause I mean, I've never really been in those games. I think that was early. I can't remember exactly. And you're just sitting there on the sideline, and I can't remember if we were losing or if it was tied up.
I don't know. It was a battle. That game was back and forth.
It was back and forth, right? And so you get to the end, and I'm kind of sitting on the sideline. I wasn't even up watching it. I'm kind of sitting on the sideline, just kind of looking up at the screen. So I didn't even see that Andre was backside by himself as a senior receiver. I didn't even know. And then all of a sudden, Schaub rolls out and then he throws the ball, and then you start looking up and Drake goes up and he catches it. And it's like, how did Drake get one-on-one? Man. Out of all people? Like, I don't care if they put 4 guys on one side. I got to at least have multiple people on Dre. But, yeah, man, he ended up getting one-on-one with the safety, like the corner. And I get it, right? The corner just left him like, yeah, it was crazy.
I remember that play. It was like, why is it? Damn, man, they was giving him trouble. That'd have been one of them head tops, as the kids say nowadays, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to get to this matchup. Saturday is going down 7 p.m. up there in Ford Field. That's the longest walk I've ever had from a visitor's locker room to the field, is playing up there in Detroit. But 9.5-point favorites over there at Bet Online, the Shell's #1 source for all sports betting. Make sure y'all check it out. Use the code Bleav, BLEAV, get that 50% welcome bonus. Why is the spread so big, man? You got an explosive offense, all right? You got a fiery head coach in Dan Campbell. What's making this team so special? Like, what's up with this team this year?
Man, I think they just got a chip on their shoulder, man. I think they went out last year, and I think last year they were good. They were going into uncharted territories. But I think they were just kind of like enjoying the ride. Like, we're here, like,
yeah.
And then they get to the NFC Championship, and then they're beating up on San Francisco in the first half, and they end up losing that game. And you come that close to going to the Super Bowl, and it's kind of snatched away from you. So I think this year they came out with a bigger chip on their shoulder, but now there's like they're expecting to win. Yeah. And they feel like they are the best team, and they are playing that way. And I think when you look at it offensively, for the most part, they've been healthy all season. I mean, they've had, a guy maybe down here, there for a game or two, but for the most part, the O-line has been intact. Jared Goff has been there every game. Jahmyr Gibbs have been there every game. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been there every game. Jamison Williams has been there basically every game. Yeah. I think David Montgomery missed a couple here at the end, but they've been there every single game. And I think offensively, they feel like they are very explosive. They got a great running attack behind a great offensive line. Yeah. And then they got a quarterback who can make the throws that he needs to make. And so I think they really do feel like they can go out there and score more points than anybody. And now that they've been playing well defensively, now I think they feel like they have the ability to hold you to minimal points and score a lot of points. And I think when you have that as a team and you start playing that way, it just makes you tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, I had to give credit where it's due. Last episode of Bleav in Commanders, y'all check it out. I was like, hey, man, we're not going to go in here and disrespect the team that's 15-2. Like, you can't do it. The stats are there. 40 points multiple times, 50 points multiple times. They putting 50 on people on a regular. Right. And Washington's defense, they've battled, they do what they got to do, but the secondary is a little bit of a problem. I mean, you played in the secondary. If you're looking at a young defense, you got a young defender, Mikey Sanders still, but then you got Marshawn Lattimore. What are you doing? Would you try to attack the defense?
I mean, Marshawn didn't have a great showing last week against Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But
he only had 1 day of practice now. Joe Witt just said he had 1 day of practice coming off a hammy. Right. So, yeah, it wasn't his best showing. But yeah,
wasn't his best showing. But I'll be interested to see how they try to use him against the Lions just because of how the Lions wide receivers are. I mean, I don't think you want to put him on the Jameson Williams coming off a hamstring and Jameson Williams being your deep threat guy he's going to stretch your hamstring. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown plays a lot in the slot. And I don't know how much, Lattimore wants to be in the slot. So now you're putting him out on the outside. And, Tim Patrick has been out there and he's made some plays. But, I mean, I don't know if Marshawn Lattimore will have that much of effect on the game if that's who he's covering. And so I think, that they're going to have to figure out a way to stop Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
That to me, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think David Montgomery has a chance of being back. Those guys make the whole offense go. Mm-hmm. If they can't stop Jahmyr Gibbs, it's a long day.
He's
that trouble. Type of guy. And he makes everybody else, because he's so explosive that you have to have plenty of eyes on him. And so then that opens up things for Amon-Ra St. Brown across the middle. Then that gets to safety, because, I mean, no safety wants to be 15 yards deep and Jahmyr Gibbs is coming down here running straight at him. So when the running back is going as a safety, you tend to try to say, hey, man, I'm going to try to come down here a little quicker so I can get him before he gets going.
Yeah.
And then when you start doing that, now you got Jameson Williams running past you up top. So they got a good dynamic, but it's based around the O-line and Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. But then I was just doing a radio show. It's also based around the defense because we can't let Washington get the ball first and go down and score. Now we're down 7, and then anything could happen. You get a turnover, you get a stop, and then they go and score again. Now you're down 14, and now you're basically taking Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery out of the running game just because you're down by points. And those have been the games where the Lions have struggled. When he had to throw the ball 50-plus times early in the season against Tampa, they lost. Yeah. When they got behind late in the season against Buffalo, they lost. So they do very well playing from close or ahead. When they get behind and they got to come out of their running game, it makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, and then when you say that makes me think a lot. I mean, I'm just looking at these two teams and how they got to this point, right? You mentioned Detroit, been good. Well, they were good last year, surprised themselves, and then what do they say? They messed the bed. I'm gonna keep it clean for this episode,
right?
But then Washington, not expected to be here at all.
Right.
Nobody in the league. Everybody looking at what Washington doing. They done, they must got something going on. Right. Everything's rocking over there. Head coach, GM. And then we got a little spite towards some people in Detroit for having that plane turnaround. But Washington comes in this thing not scared of anybody. They when Tyson got knocked out, people were like, "Oh, I'm not as scared of that anymore."
Right.
I feel like if any, I've said this before, but with Jayden Daniels at quarterback, we coming in there feeling confident, like, hey, we can score some points too, because that game against Buffalo, 48-42. Can we score some points? You mentioned scoring points for Washington. I got to go down and score 7. I think Dan Quinn's going to be aggressive. Go for it on 4th down. They mentioned it in the press conference with Cliff Kingsbury. Hey, Dan tells them sometimes, hey, you got it this time. If it's 4th and 3, go for it this drive. He'll tell them ahead of the drive. So that changes the coordinator's mindset coming into this thing. When I look at the defense, I was looking at the fact that it says that y'all's linebackers play so close to the line of scrimmage, but do such a great job of intercepting passes on play action. So that means they can affect the run and you're going to pick off the passes that come off of that. So I'm wondering how is Washington going to, one, generate a run, and who's going to get active outside of Terry McLaurin? Because, shoot, if I'm Aaron Glenn and you tell me 17 got to be the person you follow all day, right?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got to stop Terry. You got to stop him. The thing that scares me about Washington, man, honestly, bro, is Jayden Daniels. And it's just because, like, when I watch him, he just doesn't seem fazed by a lot of stuff. He doesn't seem like the moment is too big. He don't seem like he's so emotionally caught up in the wrong. Like, he just seems like he just goes out and he plays. And I think when you can have that type of calmness from your quarterback, who's also a rookie, I think that helps you. But then I think he trusts his ability to run. And, when you get in those third and short situations, him being able to keep the play alive, him being able to scramble and get the first down, like, that's so deflating to a defense to have a third and, 6 or 7, and you got great coverage, and then a quarterback scrambles out and gets the first down. Because eventually what happens is the coordinator starts to feel like, okay, the players aren't getting him down. They're allowing him to scramble. So now I have to step in and do a little more. So now you start changing up some of your coverages and schemes on third down to bring more pressure, or to do spies, or all types of different things, to where you're taking guys out of coverage or you're taking guys out of your rush. And now the quarterback kind of has you by the gonads, so to say. And so that's what scares me the most. I think, the big running back, Brian, I think they could handle just straight run at him.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what's going on with Terry Arnold. He went out the last game with a foot injury, and he said he's going to be good to go and ready to play. But I'm interested to see, because, I mean, he's had a walking boot on and all these different things. And so if he's good to go, that gives me a little more confidence, because they're definitely going to have to match up with Terry. And I know Mick played great last game. We saw him against Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know how it is as a player, sometimes you just got a guy's number. And when you start looking back, twice. Right. But when you start looking back at the history, they start showing the clips. He's been playing against Justin Jefferson since high school. So when you've played against a guy in high school, you've went to all the camps against the guy, you've been competing against him, then you played against him in college. Now you're not in awe, or you're not intimidated. None of these things about the guy. So when you go out and you put on a show against him, that's great. And then you can come back and play against some, I don't want to say guy of a less unknown opponent, against the other guy and get roasted. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dude, what happened to you? Just shut down Justin Jefferson. But I didn't. You know what I'm saying? So be interesting to see how they match up, how they do it. Terry Arnold, like I said, if he can go, that helps give me a little confidence with the depth, because some of the backups don't have to play as much. If Terry Arnold can't go, that I think that could be a big problem.
And you mentioned Jayden against the pass. The statistic says Jayden is first amongst all rookies in completions, passing yards, touchdowns, completion percentage, and passing rating against the blitz. So whenever he gets the blitz, it does take him a little bit to process it, obviously. But one thing I do know, if it's new to y'all on the defense and it's new to us, that means there's a good chance that y'all could mess up too. Right. And one thing I'll say, this in this league, you only got so many shots, right? You only got so many haymakers. With so many trick plays and how Ben Johnson does a good job of scheming up new calls, what's the importance that y'all hit those? Because I think it's important that Washington can keep those haymakers at bay. Like if they do a trick pass, they can't give up the big play. What's the importance of that for that offense?
Well, I think, I don't think it's ultra important for them. They score a lot of points either way. I think it's just an added dimension. And I think the thing that the Lions have been doing all season from a coaching standpoint is they have these added dimensions that you have to prepare for, you have to be ready for. And I think it's affected some of the coaching decisions that the other teams have had to make in their games, with the trick plays that they run offensively, with the going forward on fourth down, the way they go forward. I think it really affects. I mean, if you look at the last game we played against the Vikings, the Vikings are in the red zone inside the 5 multiple times. And instead of just taking the 3, they feel, hey, we got to get points. We got to do this. They're going forward on fourth down. They're going forward on fourth down, and they're not getting it. So now they're not getting points.
Yeah.
And I think that affected what Minnesota was doing. And so going into this game, the Lions being at home, I mean, it's hard for a defense to go out there knowing you got to defend 4 downs instead of 3 downs.
Yeah.
You know, fourth and 3 used to be an automatic punt. Now it's like, no, bro, you got to go and get another stop.
Man.
But when you're doing that, if that forces the Commanders to do that, now you have to stop them. And Jared Goff and Jayden Daniels are 2 different guys on fourth down, far as what Jayden Daniels can do running the ball just to pick up that first down. And so I think it's, you know, with Ben Johnson and the trick plays, they're coming.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's coming at some point. Can you stop it? Can you force a turnover in those moments? That's huge. But then the Lions also have to be ready for the Commanders to come with something, because that's kind of how it's been every game they've played. The other teams, they come with something, and you know, you got to be ready for it.
Yeah, I feel like Washington has done a great job of adjusting at the half, because like I go way back to Philly and Atlanta. Those 2 games, it was getting a little squirrely in the beginning, especially with explosive running backs. Talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he has like about 5.9 yards a carry, like leading the league in plays inside the tackle. Some interesting statistic, but dude's a firecracker. I think if this game is close at halftime, then that gives Washington the best chance. And keeping that time of possession and finding a way to slow down Jahmyr Gibbs. Who is the X factor that you have circled on the Washington side that's not Jayden Daniels, that could maybe make some plays and cause some trouble for Detroit?
I mean, I would give 2 guys, Zach Ertz and Brian Robinson. So I think they're going to be ready for Terry. If Brian Robinson can get going in the run game, then the same way with the Lions, that's going to open up more things for Zach Ertz, because now those linebackers are going to really have to respect that. Yeah. If they can stop Brian Robinson and take him out the game to where they're not even trying to hand it off to him, then that's going to help them be able to cover Zach Ertz even better. Because Zach Ertz is a good tight end. And so I think those 2 guys can be X factors, because when you look at a game like this, when you're going on the road in a playoff game against an explosive offense, like I was saying earlier, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. And so if my offense can stay on the field and control the game, everybody want to get explosive plays. Everybody want to get big touchdowns. But if we can methodically continue to get first downs, not get penalties, continue to get first downs, go on those 10, 12, 15 play drives, hold the ball for 5, 6, 7 minutes, that's going to limit the amount of possessions that the Lions have. And sometimes that is the best defense for you. By keeping those guys off the field. So if Brian Robinson, as a running back, can get positive yards and keep them in 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 3s and 4s, then that makes it more difficult to get off the field, because of a guy like a Zach Ertz who can control the middle of the field, and then Jayden Daniels being able to run the ball. And so I think those 2 guys could be X factors in just how the game goes. I don't think, like I said, I think they'll have a plan for Terry. I think he'll get some, but I think they'll be ready for him. It's going to be those 2 guys, because, like I say, if you can't get out the field on 3rd down, that puts more pressure on your offense.
100%. Let's step away from the field. A couple of the guys that are in this game that are going to be top head coaching candidates. Let's play a little coaching carousel. Where do you see Aaron Glenn landing? He was a favorite of mine last year. I wanted him to, maybe make his way up to Washington. Where do you see him landing? He's a favorite down there in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm about to say, if he leaves, I think it's New Orleans. Yeah. I mean, he's from down this way. I mean, I met him out here in Houston. He played with the Texans, and I know he had a house out here. I don't know if he still lives out here, but he's from down this way in the sense he worked in New Orleans for a lot of years. Yeah. So I think that's a natural place that he would probably go. For sure. I know he played in New York, but I don't think he'll go with the Jets.
Maybe a little bit too much of a dumpster fire for me, man.
Yeah. I could see him if he leaves. I could see New Orleans for sure.
Yeah. What about the other guy? What about Ben Johnson? Where you think he might slide to?
If Ben leaves, I keep telling people I don't know if those guys want to leave. I think
You think Dan Quinn is
going to be a head coach is tough. When you can just be a coordinator and be a great coordinator, if they're compensating you well enough, because you're going to be a head coach, it's tough being a head coach.
Man, I mean, over here in Washington, they used to give Ron Rivera hell. And I said, y'all got to leave Ron alone because he was dealing with more than just football. He was dealing with federal investigations, health stuff, all type of mess, plus trying to juggle the team. I do think a lot of coaches are seeing that head coach's spot ain't as sexy as it was.
Right.
And there's something that's fine with being the OC. Like, we still going to be successful. You still get a ring if you win something. Right. So
and when you're in a great situation, you're on a great team, you with a coach that trusts you and you got a good feel for and you just really just get to focus on what you love, and that's offense or defense or whatever. Like, so if Ben Johnson leaves, I don't really know. I don't really know, because the thing that I don't really ever see from Ben Johnson is personality. In a sense. Like a D coordinator, it may just be because I know Aaron. You see excitement, you see the fire, you see what I'm saying, some grit, and just like you can see some of those things. I don't really see anything from Ben Johnson. He's always just calling plays and I think we're gonna get him right here, or you know what I'm saying? And so when you're coming in to be a head coach, the personality that you have to have, the leadership that you have to have, the command that you have to have from a team, the respect that you have to gain just from your persona, the way you carry yourself. I don't think he's a very big guy. He's he's a smaller guy. So, when you look at a young guy that took the head coaching like Sean McVay, McVay's personality, you can see how he could come in as a young guy and get the respect of the team. I haven't really saw that from Ben. So I don't know what would be the best fit for him. I don't know. I don't think he would be a guy that needs to go to a New York market. Then you go to Chicago and it's like, is that your style? Like, is that really
there's a lot of personality over there that you got?
You know what I'm saying? And so then you're like, okay, he needs a team that I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he just needs to stay in Detroit and be the coordinator.
Hey, ain't no. Look, Steve Spagnuolo got 4 or 5 Super Bowl rings as a DC, right? Damn near Hall of Famer, so you can still have some success. Ain't nothing wrong with getting out there. You talk about the leadership style, and former players are having success. And I'm down here in Dallas. This Cowboy job is open, and somebody who used to play in the league was maybe he was an idol of yours. He was an idol of mine. Deion Sanders has put his name in the hat, picked up the phone and called Jerry Jones. Would you play for Deion, or do you think his style would work in the league?
I mean, I think it could work in the league.
I think it could, because I think he has enough discipline from his players. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's just saying, go do what you want to do.
Right. Yeah, I think it could work. I think he enjoys the the younger guys, the college guys, the high school guys, the guys that you can impact. I mean, because you've heard him say in the past, like it's difficult to coach grown men that are rich and like, you know what I'm saying? It's just a little different. I think he can. I just don't think it would be this year. I think he will go back to Colorado and coach just to see where his son end up. So then now because if he goes to Dallas, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to draft Shador.
Yeah,
and I don't think he will want to be head coaching in Dallas and not have his kids.
Yeah.
And I saw a clip the other day where he was saying that would be probably the only way that he would go to the NFL is if he could coach his boys. And, that's not a guarantee, especially if you come in right now, which if you're going to be that head coach, you're going to have to come in right now so y'all can go through the scouting process, combines, getting ready for the draft. It's not a situation where you can wait to May and be like, all right, now I'm ready to go be the head coach because I see like it's not going to work like that. So unless they feel like, hey, we feel this way about Shador, we have assets or different things that we can do to where we can trade to the Tennessee Titans and get the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to have to make something happen if they're trying to draw him out. I just thought that was interesting. The fact that everybody's trying to get into the coaching game. Certain people got it. I never wanted to do it. I don't know. Well, you ever thought about it?
Nah, not in the NFL. I mean, I wouldn't mind coaching, high school. Yeah. Right here. I mean, obviously you live in the Dallas area. I mean, these are big major high schools that got, good talent, right?
Yeah.
The thing about the NFL, it's just so much time, man. And, I got three kids and, I enjoy my freedom and my time to be able to be with my boys. And so, when I used to show up to the facility at 5:30 in the morning, the coaches would be there.
Yeah.
When I would leave the facility at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, the coaches were still there. And so it's like, okay, I don't want to take a job that puts me away more, when I'm not playing than I was when I was playing. And so that's been my biggest thing is just kind of like staying close enough to it to still be involved, still be around the teams. I do stuff with the Houston Texans that I play with. I do stuff with Detroit, both teams that I play with, respect for both organizations. But just the time commitment that it takes to be a coach and, because if you're going to do it, you're going to want to be good at it. So you're going to commit just as much as you did and more when you were playing. You're going to put that much effort, energy, time in the studying and being prepared. You want your guys to you're going to put so much into it.
I hear the passion.
It's going to take so much time.
I hear the passion. Because I go through the same thing. I'm like, dog, and I got 4 kids now. And I'm like, man, even just coaching high school, I was like, it takes a lot of time, my friends.
It takes a lot.
They don't see their kids get up. They don't see their kids go to bed. And it's family first right now. This works for me. I can watch film. On here and talk about it on Bleav Network. So make sure y'all watch Bleav in Lions with Glover because he's breaking all the Lions stuff down. Big game coming up. And we don't got to do no score prediction because I know he thinks that the Lions are going to have 1 more point than Washington. And I conversely feel that Washington's going to have at least 1 more point than the Lions. So we're just going to leave it at that. We're going to call it a buck and let them handle it on the field, man. But I appreciate you jumping in. Tell the folks where they can follow you and find all your stuff.
Oh, man, like you said, we're on the Bleav Network. You can follow me personally on Instagram at Glover Quin, on X at Glover Quin Jr. Like you said, the Bleav in Lions podcast, Bleav Network, all that stuff, man. It's out there. Some good stuff. Check everybody out.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate Glover hanging out with me over here in Bleav in Commanders. Y'all take it easy and go Commanders.